Hi and welcome. This is Danielle Serpico, the Blackbelt Mastermind, and today I'm going to be talking all about visualization, affirmations, and all that kind of stuff. So if you've ever heard of these terms, but maybe you're wondering what do they mean, or are they all just hocus pocus and a load of rubbish? Well, you're about to find out if they work or not. And how they work, more importantly. So I'm Danielle Serpico. If you know me, then great. If you're watching this live, please put a comment in. And even if you're watching it later on, I'd love to hear from you. Please put a comment in and say hi, and maybe tell us what you think of what you've learned, or if you have any feedback for me, I'd love to hear it. So, and you can always find out more about what I do at danielleserpico.com or the blackbeltmastermind.com. So we've already got people joining in. So welcome, Jerry. Welcome, Colette. I'd love to have your questions here today. So I'm talking today about visualization, affirmations, incantations, all that kind of stuff, or whatever you may call it. And how does it work? And why does it work? In fact, and does it work? And does it always work? So this started because yesterday I had a question from a fantastic, phenomenal gentleman that I have been mentoring for a while. And he knows very well how to visualize. He also knows extremely well how to use affirmations, or incantations as he likes to call them. So whatever terminology you use is fine, as long as you're doing it correctly is the most important thing, right? So, and we kind of got into the nitty gritty of how it works and what is the best way maybe to use an affirmation. So before I actually go down the route of explaining what is the best way to use your visualization and affirmations, let me explain to you a little bit how about this thing up here works. Okay, so hi Veronica, how are you? Lovely to have you here. Any questions, please ask. Okay, so we're talking about this little noggin in here, right? Okay, the most phenomenal, incredible computer you're ever going to possess, right? Okay, supposedly something like 20 billion times more powerful than the most powerful computer in the universe. Oh, there I'm back. My internet was going there a little bit. I'm back. We cannot actually fathom how many neural pathways we actually possess inside our brain. But you know what? Only about 20 years ago, scientists actually believed that this was kind of stagnant, that this was all it could not change, that it had evolved, and this was the way our brains were, including our neural pathways. And only around 20 years or so approximately, they actually discovered, it's incredible, isn't it, that they discovered that our neural pathways constantly evolve. That is why we now have something which is called neuroplasticity, right? So our neural pathways are constantly evolving and changing. Okay, so what does that mean? That means a little bit like the slogan that I use, I can help you change your mind easily, right? Okay, we can actually change our mind, or our neural pathways, let's say, not the actual physical brain, but what's inside the brain, all those little shoots of electricity, all those little lines of electricity and energy that go through your brain. Okay, you know when you see them on an MRI machine, right, Colette? Okay, all those little electric currents, we can actually change those pathways at any moment if we so choose. Okay, choice is a great thing to have. Okay, or we can choose to just keep going down the same route. So I've often used the example, if you walked across a lovely field, like I have a lovely acre of grass outside my window here, if you walked all the time down that pathway, what would happen? You would wear a path, right? Okay, but what happens if you stop walking down that path? The grass grows back. Am I correct? So it's the same inside your brain. Okay, in fact, we can actually do it even faster than that. So what neuroscientists discovered, the tractor going past outside, that we can change our neural pathways at any moment. Okay, now why is this important, and why am I always spouting on about this? Why is this relevant to you here watching this? Because maybe if you're watching this, maybe you also want to change your mind and maybe learn how to use it more beneficially for you. So we can actually have control. So when you actually use your words, what actually happens? Think about it. When you use your words, okay, consciously or not, let's say unconsciously, and you're just talking to somebody and you say sentences such as, you know what, I can never do that. Or I'm just not that type of person. Or maybe you say something like, oh no, maths is not my subject. Or I'm no good at that. Or I always forget people's names or telephone numbers. No. Or maybe you write a list for going to do the shopping because you just presume that you're going to not know what to buy inside the shop. So what are you doing on these occasions? You're possibly training your mind unconsciously, maybe you're not aware, okay, not to actually build its muscle. Okay, so I have Damien in as well, and hi Anastasia. Okay, welcome. Great to have you here. And Damien, any questions? Come on, give me some feedback here, Damien, right? Okay, so what actually happens is when you actually talk to yourself, you know what else you do? You're actually seeing something every single time. Okay, so this is where visualization comes in. You are making a mental image inside your head. So what neuroscientists discovered was when you visualize, I mean, we all know it intellectually now, but do we actually use it? We all know intellectually that when you visualize, right, you've heard it. I mean, the last 20 years, this has just taken off, and every sports psychologist and every sports superstar uses this. I'm sure Conor McGregor, we know, he used this an awful lot. He used visualization techniques and the law of attraction. Okay, he didn't quite make it, but he went out there and did it, right? Okay, but all these people, they use visualization techniques. Why? Because what happens inside your head? Okay. Back when all this was discovered, they did some experiments, and what they found was they put people that they got them to practice, for example, basketball and shooting into the hoop, and then they got other people to just visualize it. And what were the results, do you think? The people that visualized and did actually no exercise and didn't actually do it factually, really physically, still had pretty much the same improvement ratio as the people that practiced it physically. So what actually happened inside your head? They practiced, and inside their head, that neural pathway grew stronger also. Exactly the same way as it did, as it would have if you had practiced something physically, in reality. So knowing this, we actually know scientifically now that if you practice something inside your head, you are increasing that neural pathway, and what happens then? Then your brain, your unconscious mind, which I'm always telling you is 93% of your whole mind. Then your brain, 93%, which is the controlling part, right, will actually believe that you've done this before. Now, let me ask you this question. If you've ever done something before, is it easier to do a second time? Yeah? I would imagine so. So normally when we feel apprehensive, it's because it's the first time round. We're nervous of something that we don't know about, and we're nervous of the unknown, right? So it's really, really simple. If you want to actually produce better results in life, you have got to practice inside your head first. Because as I always say, everything is created twice, first inside your mind and then in reality. Now, moving forward from visualization, I'm looking at some of the comments here coming in. Yeah, Jerry says she did this on medication and she didn't rethink. I started to hear my thoughts again. I'll have to read that. Yeah, and I didn't let go. I haven't stopped making new pathways since. Absolutely, you're rocking it, Terry. Very, very good. So, okay, doing lots of visualization. I like it. So, okay, moving forward from visualization, how can we link that with affirmations, or some people like to call it incantations? Okay. Your words have power, right? We know that. Or do you? Maybe it's your first time listening to this and you haven't heard this said before. Your words have power. If you have heard this said before, maybe, I call it the rule of 49, maybe you actually still have to hear it 49 times before finally on the 50th time you're actually going to step up and go out and take action. And it'll really sink home, right? Okay, so sometimes we have to hear something a number of times before the message really sinks in and before we're in the right state of mind or the right state or whatever it may be for us to actually digest that information. So if you, again, they did examples of this, that they used, that they watched people on an MRI machine and they got them to repeat sentences. And when they repeated those sentences, the sentences that they'd used before would become more powerful in their neural pathways and were stronger than sentences that they'd never ever used before. So again, how does this come into play? Use that. The more you talk, the more you use your words inside your head, and the more you use your words outside to people that you're communicating with, the more influential it's going to be, right? The more it's going to have effect inside your mind. So watching and paying attention and being very, very aware of the language that you use. So for example, do you use words such as I will try? Okay, if you know me, you'll know that I will suggest that you cancel that word out of your vocabulary unless you're using it in a slightly different way. Okay, which you could learn more about if you want to come and train with me at the next NLP training. You can check that out, of course, on my website, danielleserpico.com. Okay, but words have power. Your words have power, and your spoken word has even more power. Think about it. I would bet that you have at some point in your life had a feeling, thought something inside your head, and then when you went to speak and say it to a friend or a loved one, you started to feel more emotion, like you started to cry the moment that you blurted out the words, right? That is because unconsciously your mind was saying, okay, now he, she is actually speaking those words, which means that she really, or he really believes those words. So it gives you stronger emotion attached to that. Okay, so again, knowing this information, how can you use that information to your advantage? By using your words wisely, right? Okay, linking this with affirmations moving forward. I want to get to this because this is something that we were talking about last night. Many people say things, for example, fake it till you make it. Okay, we hear that bandied around a lot. Now, what does that mean? Okay, it works, but not exactly how a lot of people think it works, and then it doesn't work because they don't fully understand it. What they do is they just pretend, completely just pretend to behave a certain way. Like, so they will behave confidently, but inside maybe they're in turmoil. Maybe inside they're really unhappy. Maybe inside they're actually terrified. Okay, so their outward persona and their inward persona is not matching. Okay, their identity inside is not matching the identity that they are portraying outside. So it's not congruent, right? Okay, how do you think that is actually going to make you fake it until you make it? It doesn't. It's confusing your unconscious mind, and your unconscious mind feels extremely uncomfortable behaving this way because it knows that you're not actually being true to yourself. Okay, so that is the mistake, one mistake that people often make when they hear the saying, for example, fake it until you make it. Now, the way it does work is if you use it better. Okay, if you fake it to yourself, if you fake it to your unconscious mind, you have got to trick your unconscious mind into believing that you feel really good doing this activity or this whatever it may be that you're faking till you make. So you have got to trick your unconscious mind. So how do you do that? You first get yourself in the right state first. Okay, so you think about something that makes you feel really good, and then you hold that state and you go and behave that way. Now your unconscious mind thinks that you actually are enjoying the experience, right? Okay, now the real crunch is that you can actually do this beforehand inside your head and practice that beforehand. And as we know, once you've done it once, it's easier to do it again, right? Okay, am I correct? So when you're using affirmations, some of the key mistakes that people use, and one that came up last night talking to a wonderful gentleman, was this. We tend to sometimes disappoint ourselves because we put an awful lot of pressure on ourselves and think, okay, I've got this to a T, especially for someone that's really, really determined, or really somebody that's motivated and driven and actually has a great percentage of actually success, of doing very well. So they expect this to work. So they go out there and they say, okay, I've learned all this stuff and let me do it. So they get their lists of affirmations, lists and lists and lists, right, of affirmations or incantations or whatever you want to call it, and they start reading them off, and before they go to bed at night and first thing in the morning. And then guess what? It doesn't really work. Okay, they're actually not really enjoying it. They see it maybe more as homework or an effort, or it's kind of like there's a part of them that's actually not looking forward to doing these affirmations. Okay, I love going to bed. It's the best time of the day, because the last thing that I do before I go to sleep is I visualize with such emotion, and I'm talking to myself. I mean, I talk to myself constantly. Okay, I mean, yeah, okay, we've all got to be a little bit crazy, right? Okay, but I talk to myself when I wake up in the morning. I look in the mirror and I say, hey, hi there. And when I go to bed at night, I talk to myself also. Now, the reason why this works so powerfully is because I'm in a really good state, and the other reason is because I'm actually not being as specific as you may think. Now, that's the trick. Okay, so this is what came up last night, and it's a very important point, because sometimes we actually plan to fail. We actually set ourselves up for a little bit of disappointment, because we're so specific in our goals, in our affirmations, that when it doesn't manifest, we're kind of going, well, I was very good. I mean, we all heard of SMART goals and being specific, smart, measurable, all this kind of stuff, right? We want to be, we want to be very, very specific with it. That's slightly different. That's later. Okay, but for an affirmation is to get you feeling really good. So I like to keep my affirmations general, because if they're very specific, like for example, let me think of an example. I don't want to give anything away. If, for example, I made an affirmation and I said to myself, okay, I am a successful, I'm trying to be very specific, motivational speaker who speaks to 10 million people in Australia. They're random, okay? And then let's say I'm still imagining and visualizing that and affirming that every single day for the next year, and it doesn't happen. Okay, I may be disappointed, right? But if I just say something like, I am the best person I can be, and every day I'm changing people's lives more and more, and making a difference, and spreading my word, and sharing my message, and touching people and moving people in a new and positive direction, and getting them feeling great, and I feel great, and I feel strong. Now, if I say that, do you think there are more chances of success of my affirmation coming true? Okay, so what I'm saying is, with an affirmation, this is different to setting a goal and being specific. Okay, that comes later. Okay, I always say we start big. I mean, I always say dream big, but you start with the end in mind, right? But then you work backwards. So your affirmation or your visualization, your incantation, whatever you may call it, is slightly different than goal setting. Your affirmation is to get you in the right state, because you want to trick you first, not others. You want to trick yourself, okay, in this great state. So it's about you having integrity and being true to yourself. So you get yourself into the great state, okay? Use what I would call an association, a trigger. So for example, every time that you say your affirmation, do something. Like, for example, maybe it's as simple as taking a deep breath. If, for example, if your affirmation may be something like, I am calm, cool, and collected every day. Maybe you want to do something like take a deep breath in and out. Okay. Maybe if your affirmation is something like I am strong, independent, and courageous, then you maybe want to do something like, my anchor, my trigger is I snap my fingers and I move my hand. Okay. Because for me, it's all about moving forward. Okay. So that creates a good feeling in me. So find something that makes you feel good and the corresponding emotion that you want to feel in your affirmation. So if it's calm, do something that makes you feel calm while you say that affirmation. If you want to feel strong, do something that makes you feel strong while you do that affirmation. And what you will find when you start repeating that more and more and more is that all you have to do is do simply the action, like the little hand movement or the deep breath or the little smile or the wink or the touching, put your hands on your heart, whatever it may be that helps you. And you will find that those words just pop up automatically. This is not something that you should have to read. This is something that you feel and comes through you with every single pore. That at any moment of the day, you can just do that and you're there and you have goose pimples. Okay, so the more you repeat this pattern, the more it's going to be ingrained in you. And you will find if you do that, I promise you, if you do that for simply 30 days, every morning, every night, maybe wake up in the morning, look in the mirror when you're washing your teeth or whatever you may be doing, and say to yourself, and make sure you say it in the present tense. So it's happening right now. Make it believable. Make it something that your mind will believe. So for example, if you're not a millionaire yet, okay, it's not good for you to say, I am a millionaire. Okay, because you may not be there yet, so obviously that's not congruent. But you may be able to say, I am getting richer every day. I am discovering more and more wealth every day along my journey. Okay, so say something that you find believable, but still causes you to feel that great feeling. Do it in the present tense and make sure that you say I, not you, as when you're looking in the mirror. Okay, which is a mistake I made for a number of years at the start when I didn't fully get this. I used to say, come on, Danielle, you are great, you are this, you are strong. And I'd look at myself in the mirror and I realized, hang on, I'm actually speaking to myself, not somebody else. So I started to say I, and it was a very, very different effect. So now it's spontaneous. Now all I have to simply do is this, and I feel really, really good. Now, a few years back, I wouldn't have been able to do this Facebook, this live video. I would not have been comfortable standing up in front of speaking in front of people. All I simply did was practice this technique. Okay, so if you did this for the next 30 days, what do you think could happen in your life? If you used affirmations wisely, if you woke up in the morning, you looked at yourself in the mirror and you said, you know what? I'm one hell of an individual. Okay, I am strong, I am courageous, I am powerful. Every day things are getting better and better, and I'm learning more and more. Whatever it is that you feel good about, how do you think that's going to set you up for your day? Because you see, it's always, always, always about smart thinking. It's not necessarily about positive thinking. It's about smart thinking. It's about using what you got in here wisely, because that works for you. You're programming the computer, not the other way around. Remember that. That's a really, really important point. Most of us spend our whole lives going around like zombies, okay, and we have no idea where we're going. Okay, a lot of people have actually no idea. They say they want to be happy, but they actually don't know what happiness means or what happiness would be for them, or even what would make them happy. So if you're wandering around aimlessly, it's time you started to plan. It's time you started to use the wonderful creation that you have inside here, this amazing gift of this computer and also neural plasticity, and start changing those neural pathways for the better. Okay, and all it takes is a simple bit of planning, a little bit of preparation, and making sure you have the right intent, okay, and the right emotion behind it. So when you visualize it with a great state. If you don't feel good, don't visualize. If you don't feel like it, don't do the affirmations. Make sure you're in a great, great state when you do those things. It's so, so important. That is the trick, and that is the crunch, because most people stop, do it once and then don't do it and kind of go, give up, it's not working, because they find it like work. They see it as an effort. If it's an effort, okay, if it's not something pleasant, you're not going to continue to do it. Okay, so you want to make this an enjoyable experience, the same way as you would sitting down and having a nice cup of tea or whatever it is that you enjoy to do. You want to make this the same, your time, for you to feel really, really good. The more you practice it, the more this is going to be ingrained, the more that neural pathway is going to grow, and the better you're going to feel and the better result you're going to have. Now, the reason that why this works, and it's not hocus pocus, it's not magic, is simply that you have tricked your mind, okay? And I've spoken about this many times, into believing that this has already happened, because your unconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real or imagined. As we said earlier, that they did tests and the people that imagined doing the exercise still had the same result. They still built that neural pathway. They still improved their game the same way as if they'd practiced physically. So your unconscious mind does not know the difference between you imagining something or you actually doing it in the real world. So when you imagine something and you do it inside your head, okay, and you use these visualizations, you use these affirmations, your brain is growing stronger. You're building that neural muscle, okay, that strength muscle, that confidence muscle, that self-belief muscle inside your brain. We work our bodies, we look after our health, but how often do you look after your mind? How often do you work that muscle inside? Okay, so start to work it every day, and what will happen is your unconscious mind, 93% of you, the part that controls you, will want to make this happen, because it's going to go out there and look for this, okay, to make sure that it's congruent with the outside world. It will start looking and looking and looking, and that's where you get more of what you focus on, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't. You're right. All of those quotes, this is where they come in. Your focus, your drive, your direction, everything that you're looking out for will start searching for this to come true. Okay, and for this to manifest, and you'll see opportunities, you'll see ideas, you'll see all the the people that you can meet, all these different things that are going to come across your path, and you'll be able to see them. You'll be more receptive to them, and it'll start to align. And that is where a little bit where the law of attraction comes in. Okay, but it also works very scientifically, based on simple biases that we have: confirmation bias, loss bias, all these type of biases that we have psychologically that are proven to give us drive to make sure that we want to confirm with our identity inside. Okay, so practice those visualization techniques, practice those affirmations every single day. I mean, I say it all the time, but how often do you actually do it? Are you actually going to do it? Type yes if you're actually going to take action and do this for the next 30 days. Because I promise you, there was a time in my life which I said I'd do something and I didn't. Okay, and then I got very down, I got very depressed, okay, and I felt really bad. And then there was another time in my life when I said, you know what, that's it, I've had enough, I'm going to actually take action. And when I actually start to take action, because it's not simply about visualizing and doing nothing, you actually got to get up and do something also, right? Okay, you can't motivate yourself. Unfortunately, you can't imagine yourself slim. You have to actually go out and go for a walk also. But what the visualization and the affirmation will do will give you the momentum, it will give you the impetus, it will give you the drive to actually go out there and take a step outside and actually go and do it, right? So I'm looking at these comments coming in, loads of comments coming in. Thank you very, very much. I love your comments. Artfully vague, Damien. Absolutely, great word, isn't it? Yes, artfully vague. So I'll touch on that a little bit without giving too much away. You got to come on the NLP course, right? Okay. So what I mean by that is, when you actually use your affirmations, as I said earlier, you want to be a little bit vaguer so that you're not disappointed. You want to use your affirmations. Remember, as I said, it's clearly there's a distinction between an affirmation and goal setting. It's a very, very different thing. Okay, goal setting, yes, you want to use SMART goals and you want to be specific. When you're using your affirmations, you want to be, yes, absolutely right, you want to be artfully vague, because there's much more chance of success. And when you have that success, when you feel that success, you're putting into play all your biases, confirmation bias, right? Okay, as in you want to prove yourself right, you're looking for it everywhere. Your monitor, part of your brain, is searching everywhere to confirm that you are right and to confirm that this identity is correct. The same way as if you get up in the morning, you tell the person that you're having a cup of tea with that, oh, you know what, I'm just not great at directions. Okay, I'm not very good at driving through traffic. Then you know what, your monitor, that part of your brain, will look out for ways to prove to you and show you ways, because that's what it thinks that you want. because you've spoken it. So it'll find ways to prove that you're right. So that's where whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. So what I mean by artfully vague is that this works to your benefit when you're using affirmations. Now, if you want to be specific and you're doing goals, yes, get more specific. But with affirmations, you want to be vague. Now, if you're using it on others, it also works this way. So, for example, knowing how to use language more effectively for the benefit of others is also beneficial. So there's times that you want to be artfully vague, especially when you're using conversation hypnosis or kind of some kind of subliminal, covert, let's say, ways to persuade, to influence, or to manipulate. A great word. My favorite word is manipulation. Okay? Okay. It is not a bad word. It is, in fact, the best thing possible. I am here. My aim, I'm telling you straight, is to attempt and to manipulate you right now. Okay, into taking action and doing this. Okay, manipulation is the best word ever, because if you go and do this, your life is going to change. So I'm very happy to be the manipulator. Okay, so manipulation simply means, in Italian or Latin, it means to manipulate. Manipulare means to actually change the form of something. So it is only us as human beings that have lately made this into a bad word. Okay, so if you want to manipulate, if you want to influence somebody, okay, to have the best life possible, then using artfully vague language and using artfully vague affirmations will benefit you and others around you. Okay, I think I'm probably going to leave it at that unless I have any more questions or comments coming in. Everybody here is commenting about the boot camp and the NLP course. Okay. Yes, I use the hand movement after your book. Very good. So we have Colette, who's actually saying that she uses the hand movement. What she means by that is that she is using what we would call in NLP terms an anchor. So it is a trigger. It is a pattern of movement, because when you use your physical body, then your brain, your unconscious mind, will actually believe that you're taking this more seriously, because you're partaking in an event rather than sitting and just listening intellectually. So when you use your body, your physiology combined with your brain, when you start putting the two into place together, okay, that will build your neural pathway, that pattern stronger, okay, and it will give you a stronger emotion. So linking a physical action with your neural pathway, with the affirmation or the visualization that you are doing, will create a stronger, a more reinforced, a stronger pathway, neural pathway in your brain, okay, for you. So again, as I said, it could be as simple as you rolling your shoulders back. It could be as simple as closing your eyes for a moment. It could be as simple as touching your heart or touching your cheek or touching your head, but maybe making it something that isn't too, embarrassing if you're out there in public. So it has to be something that you can do very subtly, without people really noticing what you're doing, okay, without it being too strong. So I simply do this, but I can do it really, a little shake of my hand, but I can do it really, really subtly. It just has to be a slight little shake of my wrist, and it creates the same wonderful feeling for me, and I feel empowered. So using those anchors, those associations, those physical movements combined with your affirmations will create a stronger neural pathway in your brain, which will in turn trick your unconscious mind, which, as we've said, is 93% of your brain. So it is the part that controls you, and then it will give you more momentum, more drive to move forward and actually go out and do what it is. Plus, because your brain thinks it's happened, it's looking to align with the universe. So it'll be looking out for all the signs to bring this to you faster and faster and faster. So it will happen extremely, extremely quickly once you've actually fully wired that neural pathway, and it is just a natural thing for you rather than something that you're still hesitating over. If there's any sense of hesitation when you're doing your affirmations or your visualizations, then you might be creating the opposite effect. You might be actually, in fact, creating a feeling of, we talk about this in the law of attraction, creating a feeling of loss. In fact, that you are not enough right now. So if you're creating that feeling, that's going to push whatever it is that you want away from you more. So again, get the feeling first. Think about something right now that you feel really good about. It could be anything. It could be eating a piece of chocolate. It could be thinking about your child. It could be an experience that you had. It could be a successful moment in your life. Anything at all. It could be making love. Whatever it is that gets you feeling good right now, focus on that. Get the great feeling. Okay? Now, hold that feeling. Now visualize. Now say those words inside your head. I am whatever it is that you're going to say. Okay? And hold that feeling. Say those words. Now you're creating that neural pathway. Now you've started the ball rolling already. So type yes and tell me that you're going to continue that for the next 30 days. Go on, type it right now. Commit to that and get that great state. I mean, you know, okay, is that an effort for you to feel good? I mean, would it be that much of an effort for you to commit to, on a daily basis, feeling really, really good for maybe, let's say, 60 seconds in the evening and 60 seconds in the morning? What do you think? Okay, and seeing that both science, neurology, all of this proves that this in fact works, I think it might be a worthwhile effort. What do you think? And it could be an awful lot more fun. Just put it this way, you'll be in a much better mood when you go to bed at night. And you'll be also in an awful lot better mood when you look at yourself in the morning. That's guaranteed. So I'm looking at the comments coming in, lots and lots of comments coming in. Okay, oh, we have Trevor and we have Lizzie. Oh yeah, lots of people coming to the next boot camp and NLP course on the 16th of September in Dublin. If you would like to find out more about that, please go and check out DanielleSerpico.com. The blackbeltmastermind.com site is still in transition at the moment, but it will be back. But everything is under the DanielleSerpico.com site. And lots of people commenting that they're coming along on the 16th of September. And of course, there's always the next one, which is in March. And the following after that will actually be in Italy, so in Umbria next September. So if you would like to find out more, please drop me a comment or drop me a line at info@theblackbeltmastermind.com, or you can find me at danielleserpico.com. Any questions for you guys? I hope you enjoyed the Facebook Live, or if you're watching this on the replay, I hope you enjoyed and you got some value out of this. I would love to hear from you either way. And please put a comment in the section below and follow me, as I said, over on danielleserpico.com and also on the Black Belt Mastermind page over on Facebook. I'd love to hear from you, whether you want to stop by and just say hello or you have a question to ask. I'm always here to listen to you. So thank you very much for you guys tuned in live. I appreciate your support, and I'll send you lots of big kisses, and yeah, keep dreaming big, guys, right? And remember the power of your words. Now get out there, commit to it, say yes. NLP in Italian. No, it'll be in English, but you never know, I might do one in Italian. You can come to that one, Trev. Okay, so in the kind time, keep dreaming big. Bye, guys.